Hi everyone, welcome to the Essentials by Ellen Spring Release blog hub. It's Laurel here. Today I'm here with 3 cards that shows lots of different techniques, and I'm going to be using 2 of the products from the release, Amazing Women's Stamp Set and the Wild Garden Dies. If you check out my blog, I also have 2 other projects using some of the other products from the release, as well as a giveaway. And all of the hoppers on the hop have a giveaway, so I encourage you to check it out. These are the 3 cards that I'm going to be making today, and all of them use that Amazing Women stamp set. I love that stamp set. It's just fantastic. The first card is definitely the simplest of the 3. It's pretty straightforward and very easy to do. And I'm going to be doing some heat embossing and adding some of that textured spray. The sentiment reads, "Happy Mother's Day. I don't know what I'd do without you." And that's one of the sentiments that you could build using this set here. It's good for moms, grandmothers, sisters, friends, any female in your life. This is a great stamp set for. I encourage you to check it out and read the sentiments on there. I'm using the Misty stamping tool here, and I'm going to create that custom sentiment. So I'm just grabbing out the stamps, and then I'm going to place them onto I'm using watercolored cardstock for all 3 of my cards. So I'm going to nestle my card panel down in that left-hand corner, and then I'll pick up the images with that acrylic door there. I'm going to ink it up with some Versamark ink and then stamp it down. And I'm going to be using some gold embossing powder, which I've never really used before. I'm not typically a big fan of gold, but I happen to love this gold. This is the gold by Hero Arts. And I just think it's a real pretty gold. I think it's real elegant, and it goes with the nice script and message of this particular card here. So this is just the top of a shoebox, and this is the irresistible textured spray that I'm going to be using. The exact color and everything will be listed in the YouTube description below, as well as over on my blog. And I gave it several spritzes, and I'm going to set that aside to dry. First, I'm going to dab off some of it that got on the sentiment, and then I'm going to set that aside to dry and move on to the next card. Now, I apologize, I do have this video in fast motion, but if I didn't, this video would be over 20 minutes long, and I didn't want to do that to y'all. So I'm going to move on to the second card here, and again I'm using the Misty stamping tool, and I'm going to create another sentiment. And this one reads, "There are good friends, there are best friends, and then there is you." And then I took the mom stamp and stamped it below. So again, this is a great set. You can mix and match and create your own sentiments for whatever female in your life. Now I'm using the Ombre ink pad by Hero Arts, and I'm using the pink one. It's probably got a color, which got a name to it. Don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I'll be sure to link it up below. But I like that little ombre look that it left behind. Now these are some dies that I had previously dyed off camera from the Wild Garden die set. This is a standalone die. Love it. So it can go with any of your products that you have. So I went ahead and again die cut that all out of white cardstock, and I'm going to go in and add some color to each of the dies. So I'm going to use the ombre ink pad for the flowers, and I'm going to clean as I go. That is some W+9 dye ink in the color Mojito. And both inks, the Hero Arts and the W+9, they kind of go on splotchy, as you can see, but in a second it's going to be completely smooth. So that's just the formulation of these ink pads. So again, you can see in the ink pad, as I flip it over, there's 3 different sections there of color. So I'm just being careful. You'll see me kind of rotate my stamp. So I want the dark at the top and the light at the bottom. I just want to be able to when I stamp, for it to be obvious that there are a couple of different colors. There's different shades there. I wanted that ombre look. So I was just real careful when I inked that up. I decided to pull out the Green Hills stamp pad by Hero Arts just to add some more green to that leaf. And look how easy I got that shading. You could do this with Copic markers if you want to as well, but I'm not good with Copics at all. So now I'm trying to figure out the placement of where I want all of my dies to be. I will spare you from showing you that. That would bore you to tears. But before I move forward, I'm going to go ahead and spray some more of that textured spray. Not a lot this time, just a very little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and spray that card base there. And then I'm going to set that aside to dry. I need to have that dry before I move on to the next step. So now I can go back to that first card that we just made and finish it off, because that textured spray has dried. And if you notice, look at the flowers. See how it's all smooth now? That's those ink pads. They're just fantastic. So I decided to soften this card by rounding all of the corners. I'm using the We Are Memory Keepers corner rounder and the 1/4 inch cut. I'm going to line the back of my card panel with some double-sided foam dimension tape. You could totally adhere this flat if you wanted to, but I wanted to have that dimensional look there. I'm going to peel off the backing paper, and then I'm going to center that down onto my card base, and then that's going to be this first card. Very, very, very simple, very easy to do, and very easy to mass produce if you wanted to. So now it's time to go back to this card and pull this card together now that that textured spray has dried. I am using some multi-matte medium by Ranger. Now, I don't care about getting my hands all dirty. There are different ways you can apply this. You can put little dots of adhesive behind your die cuts. You could use the Ken Oliver Stick It. There are different methods. This works great for me, and like I said, I don't care about getting my fingers dirty. This dries completely matte, so even though there's glue all over the back and the front all over the place, it dries completely clear. You do not see that glue, and I just found that this was the easiest and quickest way to do, and I had this tub of glue out on my desk anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of adhere that down the placement that I want it to be, and it dries very quickly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take some scissors and cut off those flowers that are hanging. Now you could create a bigger card base if you wanted and leave those flowers hanging off, but I wanted an A2 card that would fit in a regular sized envelope. So I went ahead and cut those down, and then I'm going to adhere that to a top folding pink card base to tie into that nice pink ombre look. And then that's that card. I think these dies paired with the sentiment is just beautiful. So that takes us to this card. This is the third card, and this is definitely the most difficult out of all three of the cards that I'm sharing today, but it's really fun. I'm going to be doing a little bit of watercoloring with some distress ink refills. So I'm taking a sentiment, and what it's going to read is, "You are the most amazing mom. Thank you for helping me grow into who I am today." This will probably be the card that I give my mom for Mother's Day. So those are three different sentiments. Again, this stamp set is great. You can create your own custom sentiments. You really can. I really can't encourage you enough to check it out. So I'm going to ink it up on my Misty and then go ahead and stamp it down with some Versamark ink. And then I'm going to sprinkle on that gold embossing powder again that we used for the first card. And then I'm going to heat set it with my heat tool here. You can see how nice and shiny it is. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a wash of just regular water. So this is watercolor cardstock again. I went ahead and applied some regular water down to it, and that is some Worn Lipstick Distress Ink refill. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Pumice Stone Distress Ink refill to it. And you can see the water, it's already reacting to the water, but I'm going to take a mister full of just regular water. You could do Perfect Pearls here. I think that would be pretty as well. And I'm just going to mist the daylights out of this until my card is completely sopping with color and water and dripping all over the place. And I'll be honest, that doesn't look real pretty, does it? And I'll be honest, as I was creating this, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is so ugly. How am I going to fix this? But what I have found with any kind of watercoloring that I've ever done, and I am by no way an expert whatsoever, but I find the uglier it looks when you put it down, it's going to be so pretty when you're done. So I'm going to go in and add a little bit more water. I'm going to add some more of that. I added quite a bit, didn't I? Of that Worn Lipstick refill, and I'm just going to mist some more water all over there, and then look at all that water. Now, you know, at this point I was having a little panic attack because I didn't want my card, my Mother's Day card, to look like some kind of murder scene. So I've got my heat tool here and I'm heating it up and I'm moving around some of the water. You can see, you can manipulate where the water is by kind of blowing it on it with the heat tool. I'm just doing whatever I can to try to fix this. So I got it pretty dry, and then I went in with a dry cloth and then damped off any of the excess, and then I set it aside to dry. And when it was dry, I think it turned out really pretty. I had the nice soft shade of pink and that deep red in the middle. I just think it turned out fantastic, and I could breathe a sigh of relief. So it does go down intense, but it does lighten up as it dries. So I needed something to kind of break in between that mom sentiment and then the sentiment underneath. So I'm taking a stem from the Bold Blooms stamp set, and I'm stamping that with some Versamark and then heat setting it with that gold embossing powder. And then it looks like I have a nice little squiggly line there to separate those two. I just thought that tied in great. So I've got this fancy Thanks stamp set. This is from the previous release, and I'm going to grab those little hearts, and I wanted to scatter some hearts all over the base of my card here. So I'm going to stamp those in some Versamark ink, but this time, instead of using the gold embossing powder, I'm going to grab my kind of staple embossing powder, which is liquid platinum. Liquid platinum embossing powder seems to go with everything under the sun, including other embossing powder colors. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on this liquid platinum. If you find, I think I've said this before, but if you find that any of your embossing powder is sticking where you don't want it, just grab a dry paintbrush and kind of wipe it away and you're good to go. Because mine was sticking to that Distress Ink refill. So I'm going to go sprinkle on some more of these hearts until I get, you know, kind of the hearts wherever I want them to be. And then I'm going to take a top white folding card, and on the left-hand side, I took my Versamark ink pad and I swiped it right onto my card base there because I'm going to add some more heat embossing. but this time I'm going to mix the two embossing powders together. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of that liquid platinum, not covering the whole thing, because I want to be sure I can get my gold in there. So you can see I've got a lot of white space there. Then I'm going to go in and sprinkle on the gold. And it's going to stick to where all that Versamark ink is. And then I'm going to go ahead and heat set that. You can see it as it dries. It's like magic. Look at that. My son thinks this is the coolest thing ever, by the way. And I just like having that gold and silver embossed border there. It's just going to tie in real nicely with the card there, pulling in the gold and the liquid platinum colors. So I was pretty happy with that. I had fun mixing up those two powders there. So I'm going to take my adhesive, any kind of adhesive that you have will work. I'm using the Glue Glider Pro here, and I'm putting a lot of adhesive on my card panel because we put a lot of water on it. I didn't want it to be all warped. I wanted to make sure it all sticks. So don't be skimpy on your adhesive here. I decided my super cool embossed border there to the left was a little bit thicker than I wanted it to be. So I went ahead and brushed on some water, and then I am pouring on some more of that worn lipstick ink refill, and then I'm spritzing it with water, and then I'm going to go ahead and dry it with my heat gun just to make the time go by quicker here. And then I've got this nice strip here. I'm going to cut it an eighth. I think I did 1/8 strip here, and then I'm going to kind of stick that down there, and that'll give me, I just thought that little extra border tied in nicely to the card and kind of just softened it up a little bit, and then everything is just matchy-matchy. Because there's that worn lipstick border too. So I've got the embossed border, the worn lipstick border, and then the card panel. Now you could leave the card as is. I think it's just fine the way it is, but of course I had to go one step further. And this is that Irresistible Textured Spray in gold. And I'm just flicking on a couple of gold flicks. I really wanted gold flicks on my card for some reason. And this texture spray is super cool because when it dries, it really does leave this texture behind. It's really neat in person. And it comes in a bazillion different colors, by the way. So that's the card. There's 3 cards that I made in this video using the Amazing Woman stamp set and the Wild Garden die set. My blog has 2 other projects that use some other stamps and dies from the release, so I encourage you to check that out. And don't forget, I have a giveaway over there. So be sure to head on over to my blog at laurelbeard.org. To qualify for the giveaway, all you got to do is leave me a comment. It's just that easy, and then you're in. You could win. Just leave me a comment, and make sure you check out all the other hoppers because there is so much I am a pin and fool. I can tell you I'm going to be a pin and fool when I see all these projects. I love Pinterest, and this release is fantastic. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.